All right, let's get into it. Today, we're breaking down one of the most calculated and legendary rivalries in modern dancehall. This is the story of a king in prison, a challenger with a shocking master plan, and a war of words that pushed the entire genre to its absolute limits. This whole thing really boils down to one central mystery. In 2013, Vybz Kartel was the undisputed king of dancehall, no question. So why would he, from behind bars, choose to target a brand new, totally unknown artist who was just getting his start? What on earth happened to set this epic clash in motion? So to understand the battle, you first have to understand the battlefield. When Vybz Kartel was sentenced to prison, it wasn't just one guy going away. It created this massive power vacuum. The throne of dancehall was suddenly empty, and that's when a brand new player decided to step onto the scene. And that player? His name was Erland Bartley, but you know him as Alkaline. He was this really talented, hardworking kid from a prestigious high school, the kind of guy who was performing at every single school event he could, just honing his craft. But his crucial break? Well, it came when he connected with Not Nice, a famous producer who had, shall we say, a major falling out with his old collaborator, Vybz Kartel. You can already see the pieces being placed on the board, right? But see, talent and connections, they weren't going to be enough. Alkaline knew he needed something more to break through all the noise. He needed a shockwave. And what he did next was an absolute masterclass in controversy marketing. So just as he's building this relationship with Not Nice, Alkaline just vanishes. For a while, nobody hears from him. Then, one night, the producer turns on his TV, and there he is, this young kid he was working with on national television, looking completely different and making an unbelievable claim. And that was it. That was the line that lit the fuse. Appearing on TV, Alkaline claims he had tattooed his eyeballs completely black. The whole country just went into a frenzy, right? Debating whether someone would actually be crazy enough to risk their sight for fame. It was outrageous, it was shocking, and it was exactly what he wanted. This move just shows you his brilliant, almost ruthless understanding of how to get famous. Alkaline knew that just asking people to check out my music on TV was a total waste of breath. He understood he had like a 15-second window on the spotlight. So instead of promotion, he created a viral controversy so massive, it forced everyone to pay attention. This wasn't just a gimmick, it was a genius marketing plan for the social media age. So with the entire country talking about his eyes, the attention naturally turned to his music. And, well, his attitude. The controversy gave him a platform, but it was what he said on that platform that really ignited the war. In another interview, someone asked him about Vybz Kartel. Now, you gotta remember, at that time, every artist was expected to pay homage to the king. But Alkaline's response? A stunning refusal to give him any special respect. To Kartel's fans, this was the ultimate slight. Taking his style but not giving him the credit? Oh yeah, the battle lines were officially drawn. And man, things escalated fast. After that interview in February, Kartel fired the first subliminal shot in October with Box Lunch. Alkaline didn't even wait. He fired back the very same day with one in ahead. The war was on, and it even led to this tense, nonverbal standoff on an airplane with a member of Kartel's crew, Tommy Lee Sparta, just 2 months later. But here's the thing. While this whole public feud was raging, Alkaline was quietly building towards something else entirely. He had been planting this seed in his music since 2014, a weird reference that nobody could quite figure out. But the payoff was coming. For 2 solid years, one single number just kept echoing through his music, 2016. It was this cryptic promise, right? A date circled on a calendar that nobody else could see. It was building this quiet, mysterious anticipation for a master plan that nobody could yet understand. Then, just before his target year, the whole story gets flipped on its head. Alkaline posts a single photo on Instagram. No caption. It's him with normal eyes. The entire 2-year controversy, the national debate, it was all fake. The eyeball tattoos were contact lenses all along. It was one of the biggest, most audacious plot twists the genre had ever seen, and a stunning reveal of just how long he was willing to play the game. So, what was the payoff for this huge deception? Well, in 2016, with the whole world watching, he drops his album, New Level Unlocked. And fueled by years of calculated hype from the feud and that eyeball reveal, It immediately shattered records. It became the first dancehall album ever to debut at #1 on the Billboard reggae charts. And this wasn't just some flash in the pan. The album had incredible staying power, remaining on the charts for a staggering 18 straight weeks. The 2-year deception, the controversy, the beef, it had all worked perfectly. Alkaline was now, without a doubt, the leader of the new generation. But right at the peak of his success, as he's literally standing on top of the charts, the war, which had kind of simmered down to just subliminal jabs, was about to explode into its most direct and brutal final act. The new year had barely even started. On January 1st, 2017, Kartel's ally Popcan decided to reignite the war, dropping a diss track aimed squarely at Alkaline. And, well, that was a move he would probably come to regret. Alkaline's response, a track called Microwave, was just surgical and humiliating. He was done with subliminal shots. He called Popcan out by name with lyrics so disrespectful they are still considered legendary today. He didn't just attack his music. He went after his manhood, his friendships, everything. Well, that crossed a line. And it woke the king. Vybz Kartel himself emerged from the shadows with a song called Closed Casket. This wasn't just a diss track, it was a threat. He graphically describes what a closed casket funeral means, that the body is too messed up to even be seen. It was dark, it was gory, and it was deeply, deeply personal. So you have this final showdown, and it's a total study in contrasts. Alkaline's Microwave was all about public humiliation, but Kartel's Closed Casket, that was about brutal, physical annihilation. The war had escalated from schoolyard taunts to something far, far darker. After the chilling lyrics of Closed Casket hit the airwaves, the craziest thing happened. Nothing. Absolute silence. Alkaline, the guy who had fearlessly responded to every single attack before, never replied. The war, at its absolute peak, just stopped. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Who really won the war? I mean, did Alkaline's silence mean he forfeited, or was his record-breaking success the real victory? He executed this brilliant marketing plan to seize the throne, while Kartel proved from behind bars that his lyrical power was still terrifyingly lethal. So, who do you think actually came out on top? That answer, just like the feud itself, is still being debated to this day.